Hey guys, Akwaba, welcome to my channel. Again, we're talking about doing business in Ghana. My name is Nana Ashanti. If this is your first time to this channel, welcome. Hope you stay around, subscribe, and then we'll keep talking. Today we're going to talk about what to expect when you do business in Ghana. It's a lot, and I want to make sure that as you're starting your entrepreneur journey that you're prepared for what is ahead. So these are a few things you should watch out if you're doing business in Ghana. Let's go to number one. Doing business in Ghana is much like doing business everywhere else in the world, except in these parts, there are some extra things that you should definitely be looking out for. Number one, we're talking about the attitude of employees. It almost seems like that's not the thing you worry about the most. However, when you're doing business in Ghana, one of the things that you will come across is that not only is getting the best employees very difficult, as the hiring process is usually very informal or very long and excruciating, so you don't really come up with, a way that allows you to hire the best people. I went to my dad's school for a year full time. I still do work there, but not as involved as I used to be. And the thing that I had to do is you have to come up with a system where you select the employees and you don't waver at all. Because mostly the way people hire here is through nepotism. You know someone who knows someone who knows someone. There's not Indeed or anything that you can go and scout for like the best employees. People will usually come to your place of business for work. What I find now is that if maybe like 10 people show up for work, you hire a few of them. Some of them don't even show up on the day that you ask them to show. The attitude to work is very lackadaisical, and also it's because there's this phenomenon in Ghana where people believe that if they're working for other people, they don't have to put in their best because it's not your own jobs. It started, I guess, from the colonial era when people were, all but forced to work long hours for very cheap. So you have to spend a lot of time and a lot of money training your employees. I do that ever so often to make sure that the employees are sharp. Some of them don't show up for work. The time management is not the best. So what I do is this: I start taking some of their salaries, away, so that they will know that if you don't show up for work, there's a consequence. If you don't show up early, there's a consequence. If you don't follow things that you're supposed to do, there is like something that has to go, like you do in other places. But in Ghana, you just have to enforce it more because there's not a labor commission or anything to help you. So the one thing that you will find out is that finding people to actually help you with a job is like a big deal. It's worrying. So that's number one. Let's go to number two. Number two, and also probably the most worrying, is the bribery and corruption from government agencies. When it comes to doing business, I speak to a lot of people, and when I tell them about my experience in like the education industry in Ghana and having to have to pay bribes to people, they always go like, "Oh, why do you do that?" And I will never pay the bribes. And you will pay the bribes, because a lot of the government agencies will frustrate you. They will frustrate you to the point of you don't have anywhere to go report that you're being harassed. And they usually shroud the payments in things like penalties and like nonsense, actually, like just things that do not matter. And the amounts that they usually ask for you to pay is so pathetic, but then they press you and they press you. And when they come in droves. I had this one week where there were like 4 or 5 government agencies that came with a bunch of the employees, all of them with different things, and it was close to Christmas. So I definitely knew they were just there trying to tie us up in lawsuits and things like that, just to make sure that we don't go to court and then we settle them out of court. So the bribery and corruption is mostly like a cultural issue, where in Ghana people come to your house and they expect you to feed them and give them food and give them water and things when they're going, like transport them. And it has now like changed and evolved into now like the bribery and corruption. Sometimes it's just very frustrating because you have a budget set and you're not planning to pay anybody off or something, but you have to squeeze it from the budget and like pay that. So you will pay bribes, you will pay things. There's a lot of harassment from the agencies. I'm not going to name them, but a lot of them, from the highest ones to the lowest ones, they will frustrate you. and you'll be forced to pay. So just something that you have to expect and look forward to. Let's go to number 3. Another thing you have to look forward to is the phenomenon of promise and fail, usually from your suppliers. Some people just don't take work seriously. People don't take work that serious. Suppliers will give you a date where they'll show up for certain things and they will not show up, and then you'll be left to deal with the consequences of it. People will tell you they're bringing you stuff this week and it will be 2 weeks later and they still haven't brought it. And unfortunately, a lot of people have monopolies on things in here in Ghana, not just because it's it's just a thing. Like, they know where to get the stuff, like food suppliers, uniform suppliers, like textbook suppliers, and they have monopolies on these things, and it just makes it really difficult to do business here. So people will promise you a lot and they will fail you. You just have to have a lot of patience to do business in Ghana. You have to take your time, you have to relax, plan weeks ahead. If someone tells you I'll bring you something in a week, just assume they're going to bring it to you in 3 weeks. That way, when you make your timeline and your budgeting, it just doesn't go against you. If you also can find substitutes for the things that you want to use, you might as well just do that, because if you wait on this one person, it could probably take them weeks and months and they still haven't delivered. They will eventually, but it will mess up your timelines and you'll be sitting there living, with nothing but like what they promise you. So that's one of the things you have to look forward to when, conducting business in this part. Let's talk about number 4. That can be very frustrating is also acquiring and keeping customers. It's a thing with the world over, but in Ghana, recurring customers are usually very informal. You know someone who knows someone, and you do too face-to-face and informal. People get too familiar with you. It's just like very difficult acquiring and maintaining the customers, because like it's just because it's informal, it's too familiar, you know what I mean? So then it just makes that also a phenomenon. So you have to come up with a way. Your CRM has to be tight. Just like your sales team and everything always has to be on point. If you want to get new customers, new fresh people coming, you have to keep reinventing yourself and spending all that money to make sure you're doing something innovative, something fresh at all times, or else you're not going to last very long in the business world in Ghana. So that's one thing you also have to look for. The next one, which is actually a thing, is the haggling and the constant asking of discounts from customers. In Ghana, haggling, asking for discounts and negotiation is actually very cultural. People expect you to bargain with them when you go into the markets and all, like everywhere. And people bring that into the formal sector as well. People come and they ask for a reduction on tuition, they ask for a reduction on everything. And then you are like, you just have to build into your prices that there's going to be a time where someone's going to ask you for a discount. So you make sure that you're giving them that discount, because they will usually bring other people when you do give them that discount, but don't make it so steep that you run at a loss. You know what I mean? So you always have to inbuild prices, knowing that there's going to be a time someone's going to come and haggle with you, and haggle hard. Some people are really good at this thing, and yeah, you want to make sure like you're putting your foot down when it comes to your pricing, and just making sure people don't have a one-up on you. So it's one thing that you're supposed to look forward to. Haggling, people are going to do it all the time. You just have to be ready for it. The overall word of the day is time management. A lot of people do not have good time management in Ghana. So when you're doing business, just make sure, like I said, you build stuff into your own timeline for delays and promise and fail and that kind of thing. Like, you have to build in and expect that it will happen. Some people will not show up on time and they'll show up 2 hours late, and like your suppliers will like disappoint you, and those kinds of things. So just time management when it comes to time and being on deadlines and things like that, it's very difficult, very, very difficult for you to change. You mostly have to just roll with the punches sometimes, but for your own benefit, just make sure that you're being conscious of that and not being frustrated, else you'll be frustrated all the time. It's like you have to look forward to that. So yeah, this is pretty much it for things to look forward to when you're doing business in Ghana. My name is Nana. If you have more to share, do in the comment section. I will catch you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you later.